Dear devotees, thank you for joining today. We wanted to seek the blessing of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyamsundar, Radha Damodara, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Gonitai, Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj, and the assembly devotees. So I think we reached at this level, this point, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 9th chapter, 12th verse, where Mother Yashoda has caught Krishna and they're engaged in parental-child dispute, which is very interesting. So, should I do those?
Yatta yastim sutapitam vigna yarabaka vatsala iyesha kila tambadum tamnata virya kovida. Translation: Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son had become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities.
Yashodamayi wanted answers.
How's the chain broken?
Krishna says, through an act of God. Mother, it's your karma. Yashodamayi was amazed. Where did he get such ideas from?
Oh, yes, of course. And who gave butter to the monkeys? Was that God too?
Well, ultimately, the same Lord who created them also directed me to feed them.
Could you not wait to enjoy the butter until after it was offered to God? Or do you think you are God? Or is the butter more tasty when it is stolen and unoffered?
What could she see? He is God. Staring at the ground, Krishna drew lines in the sand with his toes. Seeing his confusion, Yashodamayi's heart melted.
Be good now and tell me the truth. No more stories.
Krishna looked up and marveled at the beauty of Yashodamayi. And Yashodamayi similarly was marveling at his beauty and cheeky nature. Mother, you ran to save the boiling milk, and your anklet struck the churn and pierced it. Why blame me? Thereafter, the Lord inspired some monkeys to raid your storeroom and steal its contents. Why fault me? Yashodamayi was mesmerized by Krishna's eloquence, even though every word was a lie, but she wanted to hear more. Then, as I was trying to save the yogurt from the monkeys, you attacked me with a stick, treating me as if I was a common thief. Without pity, you chased me like a shadow, even though I was frightened to death.
Though you're born in an aristocratic family, by befriending monkeys, you've taken on their qualities.
There it was again. Krishna, compared to monkeys? Mother, if you think I'm a monkey, then maybe I should go to the forest and live with my monkey friends. Yashodamayi was shocked. Things were going too far. Who knows? This boy might just do what he's saying.
I will tie you down right here, right now, so that I can return to the house and clean up the mess you made.
Krishna couldn't believe what he heard. Oh, Rohini Devi, where have you gone with my brother? Oh, Balaram, come quickly. Mother wants to tie me up. Help, help. Although Rohini and Balaram were too far away to hear Krishna's call, it did not fall on deaf ears. The elderly ladies came running but jokingly goaded Yashodamayi to punish the boy. How many times we have complained about the havoc your son creates in our homes, and you constantly ignore us. Now he has plundered your own home. You finally see the light of day. Please help. Let us help you punish him. Mother agreed. He must be tied down. The ladies, as well as the demigods, were amazed at the audacity of Yashodamayi. So this is verses 13 and 14.
So the translation is, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, he is all-pervading. Because he is not under the influence of the element of time, for him there is no difference between past, present, and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times. Being absolute beyond relativity, he is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although he is the cause and effect of everything. That unmanifested person who is beyond the perception of the senses has now appeared as a human child. Mother Yashoda considered him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope.
How extraordinary this copy is. This is what the Brijbasis were thinking and saying. Although she has seen her son's supernatural powers. Which supernatural power? Well, he killed Putana, delivered her. He killed Trinavarta, delivered him. And also the cart demon, Sakatasura. She still plans to tie him up. Yashodamayi required two things to tie up Krishna: an anchor and a rope. Near the entrance to the courtyard lay the mortar which Krishna had used to sit on and feed the monkeys. Krishna was incredulous, couldn't believe it. Yashodamayi made her intentions very clear. Taking him the few steps to the mortar, she was going to bind Krishna to the mortar.
Since you're so fond of mortars, I will marry you to this one.
Now for the rope. She also blamed the mortar for being a participant in Krishna's mischief. So she bound him to the mortar. Now for the rope. With the graceful movement of her left hand, she took a golden cord that bound her braid at its root. Yashodamayi thought about which part of Krishna to bind. His hands and feet are too small, and he would be able to wiggle free. Best at the waist, around the belly, as his chubby behind and scheming head would not allow the rope to slip free. Yashodamayi giggled. Krishna was not amused. He thought, both time and death for me. Does she not? Me. Does she not know? No, she doesn't know. Krishna has no beginning, nor does he have an end. Yet her motherly affection did not allow Yashodamayi to think of Krishna as infinite. The first cord was obviously too short for his waist. So she took another cord from her hair, but realized she would need something for the mortar as well. Many Brijbasis were watching this amazing event unfold. Yashodamayi spotted two of her maidservants, Karangavati and Lavangavati. She ordered them to bring some soft, smooth rope from the house in a hurry. They ran into the house, quickly brought two churning ropes for Yashodamayi. The gopis assisted Mother Yashoda and tied the 4 ropes together, and Mother attempted, with the help of Lavanga, to put the rope around the waist and the mortar. Krishna still couldn't believe what his mother was planning to do. Who does she think I am? The watching demigods, Brijbasis, sages, birds, monkeys, gopis, gods, etc., all debated amongst themselves about what the Yashodamayi will achieve, how she will achieve this monumental task. Krishna tried to reason with Mother. Do you think it's right that you punish me like this? Father would be much more lenient and reason with me. Mother was determined.
You're not just mischievous, but you were also offensive. So this is verse 15. Taddama padyama nasya sarvabhakasya kitagasaha dvyangula lonam abuddena sandadeng agnak chagopika. Translation: when Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance the width of 2 fingers. Thus she brought another rope to join to it.
Now, she called him offensive. Krishna was offended by this comment. But anyway, he didn't have time to argue or be bound up. He had to play with his friends. Houses to ransack, ladies to charm. How can he be restrained by some rope? When Yashodamayi tried to knot the ends around Krishna's belly, it was short by 2 fingers. She tried in different ways, different combinations. But every time the rope was always 2 fingers short. She ordered more rope. All the Brijavasis participated and cheerfully brought more rope, knowing that some extraordinary Lila was happening. They would tie the ends, and then Yashodamayi would again try to put the rope around Krishna's belly, but it was always 2 fingers short. Everyone marveled at the phenomena. The demigod said the Lord is medium-sized, infinite, and infinitesimal simultaneously, and applauded his inconceivable potencies. Well, this is absolutely spot on. The Brijavasis were enjoying the occasion, sometimes teasing Yashodamayi, sometimes encouraging, sometimes calming, sometimes laughing.
Verse 16. Yada sittadapi api nyunam tenayat api sandadhe tadapi dvangulam nyunam yadyat adata pata bandhanam. Translation. The new rope was also was short by a measurement of 2 fingers, and when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. The shortness could not be overcome. Verse 17. Evam swagehe dhamani yashoda sandhati api gopinam sushmaya yantinam samyanti vishmita bhavat. Translation. Thus Mother Yashoda joined whatever ropes were available in the household, but still she failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. Mother Yashoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighborhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yashoda, although laboring in that way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder.
Every piece of rope added was intact in its original length, but the aggregate shrank so that it was just 2 fingers short. This is just inconceivable. All the rope in the village palace cowshed was used, but it was not to be. Nonetheless, although tired, Yashodamayi did not give up, and her determination was an expression of her love. The same can be said of her anger and of her sense of obligation to discipline Krishna. Indeed, her entire being was a manifestation of maternal love, and so Krishna accepted her chastisement as such. So her chastisement was as relishable to him as her affection, because it was an expression of her love. That's the point. Krishna, however, Krishna thought, there is no match. There is no one to match the loving devotion of my mother. I exist by the grace of her, the dust of her lotus feet. But that love alone is not sufficient to restrain me. 2 more things are required. This is the significance of the 2 finger with gap. Until my devotee exert themselves fully in service, bhakti parishram, and until I take compassion on them, mat kripa apta, I do not become theirs. So this is the meaning of the 2 fingers short. We have to put the effort in, and there has to be the compassion, the mercy of the Lord. Otherwise, how can we be his? It's a very nice picture. Yeah.
So verse 18. Swamatu svina gatraya vishrasta kabara shajaha trisva parishramam Krishna kripaya sid swabandhane. Translation. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, the whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers and comb were falling from her hair. When child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound.
While embracing Krishna, Yashodamayi called for more rope. The elderly gopis spoke amongst themselves. How unusual that Yashodamayi can tie her arms around her son, but not the rope. How is this possible? You can see she's got her arms around him, but the rope is 2 fingers short. No matter how hard she tries, Yashodamayi is unable to realize her plan. Such an over endeavor. Why doesn't she give up? You are our queen and advisor to the king in matters of state, but yet you can't even tie your own baby. There are supernatural forces at work here, and it would appear that Krishna is none other than the Supreme Lord himself. Yashodamayi acknowledged their wisdom with a nod of her head. For a brief moment, she understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but only for a moment. To her, he may be the Supreme Lord, but he was also her son. She had undertaken to tie him just after sunrise. And although the sun had begun its descent, her efforts remained fruitless. So this is going on for hours now, hours. Just after sunrise, and now the sun was going down. So it's after midday. She'd been trying to tie the knot for hours. Overwhelmed with fatigue and frustration, she sat down to review her plan. At that moment, Krishna reasoned, she's so determined to discipline me. Such devotional resolve must be honored and rewarded. Perhaps I should give up my stubbornness and let her have her way. My divinity is of no significance to her. How marvelous that her love for me is not tainted by any awe and reverence, but simply a desire to please me, to protect me, to correct me. The rising compassion in Krishna's heart implored him, give yourself to her. Do as she wills, not because being bound is part of an eternal pastime, but because she wants it. Yashodamayi wiped her brow and reflected on what has been happening and what has been said. And she was giving up the idea of binding Krishna. At that very same moment, Krishna decided, I submit. Yashodamayi had been knotting ropes for hours. Although she decided to stop, by the mercy of Yogamaya, her hands continued the momentum. So she tied one more knot, and that was the knot that bound Krishna. So we can stop there and then continue tomorrow. Any comments, any questions?
Yes, Prabhu, very interesting that there's a binding of the rope to Krishna continued till about afternoon. So Yashodamayi must be so tired and exhausted, saying like, and then Krishna showed the mercy. So we should have our hope that we have to try and try and try. Yeah. And eventually, by Krishna's mercy, we can achieve, or we can sort of meet up with him, or be eligible for the dust of his lotus feet.
Spot on, spot on. And the more we put the effort in, the more harder it is in many ways, the better. Yeah. You know, he'll see the effort. He'll notice the effort. If it's easy, anybody can do it. But when it gets hard, you know, it's, oh my God, this is so hard. Like today, I was almost going to give up, but you came on and I thought, okay, let's carry on. So you inspired me to carry on.
And funny, she could put her hands around him, but not the ropes.
This inconceivable nature of this pastime. Such an amazing pastime.
Very nice. Lovely pastime.
Phenomenal. Yes, phenomenal. Thank you so much, Nariman, for
being so
enthusiastic. Radha Damodara ki